Good evening. Welcome this evening to tonight's Oregon City Council meeting on August 24, 2026. The time is 7 p.m. Would you please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. At this time, Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of the council members?
Mrs. Ackerman?
Here.
Mr. Andrus?
Here.
Mr. Drake?
Here.
Mr. Gibbs?
Here.
Mr. Horniak?
Here.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Here.
Mr. Walnzak?
Mr. Walczak did reach out to me earlier today. He is unable to be here. Do I have a motion to excuse his absence?
So moved, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Horniak, second by Mrs. Pauloff. Council, any objections? Hearing none, he is excused. Also joining us tonight, Mayor Stephen Solander, City Administrator Brody Walders, Clerk of Council Josette Snyder, Law Director China Pfeiffer, Public Service Director Paul Roman, Chief of Police Brandon Began, Chief Mark Mullins, Fire Chief, and Finance Director Nick Roman. Okay. All right. Next order of business is to approve the minutes from the August 10th, 2026 regular meeting, August 17th, council meeting. The first one, I'm sorry, on August 10th was a special, regular meeting. August 17th was the special meeting. And then August 17th was the committee of the whole. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Mr. President, I'd make a motion that we accept the minutes as you read them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrus. Does anyone have any objections on the minute meetings? Hearing none, they're accepted. Next is going to be appointments. I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Solander. Mr. Solander.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have some appointments here to do so that they don't have to sit here with all of us throughout the meeting. So we'll start with appointment of 2 water distribution maintenance workers. Let's see. It will be Mr. Matthew Kohler and Mr. Michael Moon, both of them at step 1 of the ASME pay range for this position with an hourly rate of $32.29, annual rate $67,163.20. Mr. Kohler would be starting date of Tuesday, September 8th, 2026, and Mr. Moon will be Wednesday, September 9th, 2026. Council looking for concurrence.
Okay. Council, is there a motion to accept these appointments?
Mayor, I would, or Mr. President, I would concur with the mayor on that.
Okay. Okay, motion made, or concur with Mr. Gibbs, seconded by Mrs. Paul. Thank you. Council, any objections? Hearing none, council concurs. Your appointments.
Thank you, Council. Next will be an appointment for water treatment plant seasonal appointment request. This will be for an appointment of Mr. Timothy Wall as utility worker 3 at the water treatment plant in classification 7, step 5 of the seasonal pay scale, which is an hourly rate of $24 per hour, effective date of Monday, August 31st, 2026. Looking for concurrence.
Okay, council,
Mr. President, I concur with the mayor on that.
all right. Council, any objections? Oh, I'm sorry, is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Paul. Motion made by Mr. Gibbs, seconded by Mrs. Paul. Thank you. Council, any objections? Hearing none, council concurs with the appointment.
Thank you, Council. Next will be for a facility supervisor in the rec department. This will be for Jason Ebanks with a hire date of August 25th, 2026, sorry. And he will be an hourly rate of $17 per hour. Looking for concurrence.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Council, is there a motion for Mr. Ebanks?
Mr. President, I'd concur with the mayor on that appointment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Is there a second? Okay, seconded by Mr. Horniak. Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Council, any objections? Hearing none, council concurs with the appointment.
Thank you, council. Next will be engineering intern. This will be for Mr. Ibuka Victor Iselob to the position of engineering intern in the Department of Public Service, be placed at classification 5, step 3 of the seasonal pay scale. Hourly rate $19.25 per hour with an effective date of Monday, August 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
I concur with the mayor's appointment as presented.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Horniak. Is there a second? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Pawlow. Council, any objections? Hearing none, council concurs.
Thank you, council. One more here. This is kind of more of an adjustment, if you will. So we have Mr. Matthew Sapara is our appointed on the Lucas County Regional Health District Board of Health, representing the city of Oregon. He was originally appointed for the period of 8/28/23 to 8/28/26. However, the Board of Health has requested that they be 4-year terms to coincide their 4-year terms. Therefore, we're just looking to adjust it from an appointment term ending 8/28/26 to 7/31/2027.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Is there a motion for Mr. Papara?
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
I'll concur with the change to Mr. Sapara's service dates to end 7/31/27.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak. Is there a second? Okay, motion made by Mr. Horniak, second by Mrs. Pawlow. Council, any objections? Hearing none, council concurs.
Thank you, council. And that concludes the appointments. You want to go ahead with the proclamation? All right, we're going to move ahead then with our proclamation. I didn't wear the right gear today, but this is a proclamation declaring the 60th Annual German-American Festival. So whereas the 7 groups that make up German-American Festival Society are proud of their heritage and traditions of their forefathers and want to exhibit their pride by sponsoring a festival each year to share their music, dancing, games, and delicious foods with others. And whereas the city of Oregon is fortunate indeed to be the home of the German-American Festival Society and its recreational area known as Oakshade Grove. And whereas the German-American Festival Society is now celebrating its 60th anniversary in this year of 2026, and whereas the city of Oregon, with its great working relationship with the society, welcomes all to Oregon and is proud to be the host city for this event. And whereas we wish the German-American Festival Society and all who attend the festival a great weekend in the city of Oregon. And now, therefore, I, Stephen Solander, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Oregon, do hereby proclaim August 28th, 29th, and 30th, 2026 as the 60th Annual German-American Festival.
On behalf of the German-American Festival Society, I want to thank the mayor and city council for this proclamation. Greatly appreciate it.
Everybody knows me. Get in the middle, you're the boss.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Krieger. Okay, next is persons and delegates. Just a reminder, 5 minutes. And the first one will be Mr. Jim Davis. Mr. Davis.
Jim Davis, 5494 Bay Shore. Tonight, I'm not going to talk about data centers. Pause for shock silence. What I'd like to talk about is the 3 proposed charter amendments that appeared on tonight's agenda. I'm curious as to how these were not on the committee of the whole agenda, since it's obvious these issues didn't come up suddenly. Was the proper procedure followed with posting these publicly in print as well as on Facebook? I ask this because lately things have been added to the council meeting agenda without being discussed at the committee of the whole, and I hope this doesn't become a pattern. Anyway, I read the proposed amendments, and one of them appears to be kind of a housekeeping to align the charter with Ohio state law with regards to the candidate nomination process. No problem there. The second appears to be requested by the Board of Elections to align the primary election date with that of other cities. No problem with that, although the primary would move to May, leading up to a much longer campaign. The last one is problematic. It appears to provide a mechanism for filling a vacancy on council, but there's no adequate description of the process for potential candidates to apply and be considered. And the second paragraph is seriously flawed. I understand that council may have knowledge of a potential candidate, and that's fine as long as they present that candidate for consideration on an equal footing as other interested candidates. There's no urgency to fill the position, since most issues before council do not require 7 council persons to be present. So the idea that council could just select somebody without consideration for other candidates leads us right back to the situation we had last December. The charter represents the governing document for how the city business is conducted, and altering it is not something that should be done hastily and without careful consideration. If an amendment is approved by the voters, it cannot be changed very easily. So it is important to get it right for the public to understand all of the implications of any proposed changes. So at this point, I do not feel any of these proposed changes have been properly vetted in an open discussion such as would have taken place if they were not rushed through the process. Proposed amendments are being introduced as emergency measures due to the need to get these on the ballot. I understand this urgency, but when procedures and adequate public notice are sacrificed due to exigent circumstances, it violates the spirit, if not the letter, of the open meetings law. Article 9, Section 3 of the city charter specifies the requirements for public notice of any proposed ordinance, resolution, or proclamation. It requires a reading of the ordinance in full and may require 3 meetings on 3 separate days, 3 members of council so requested. While I do not have any issue with the 2 proposed amendments regarding the housekeeping issues of the Board of Elections, I strongly object to the provisions of the proposed amendment to replace the current Article 3, Section 11 as hasty and ill-considered. While that current section of the charter remains seriously flawed, replacing it with another equally problematic amendment is not in the best interest of the citizens of Oregon. Lastly, we are all aware that the charter language regarding a recall petition that is in the city charter is the same language that the Ohio Supreme Court struck down as inadequate. MAMI has proposed a charter amendment that would properly address how a recall petition would be considered, and I urge all of City Council to research this issue and to offer future consideration for a charter amendment to address this important issue. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Davis, thank you for bringing that up, and I agree with you. We hadn't got to that point yet, but that particular amendment I'm pulling off the agenda for very much the reasons that you stated. I believe that it does need time. Those other ones, I agree also, housekeeping. The one regarding vacancies does deserve more time, not only for the citizens, but also for council to discuss. And I believe that council should be the ones to decide how to replace their own members. In my opinion, the way it's written right now, it's almost like I'm saying, hey, council, do you want Coke or Pepsi? I mean, and they may say, that's fine, I'll pick one of those, but there might be somebody that'll say, you know what, I'd like a Dr. Pepper, and it's not one of the choices. So I do believe, like I said, for the reasons that you had stated, as well as allowing council to be the ones to be able to have say in how they replace their own members. So it is, I am, Mr. President, pulling that item from the agenda as we discussed earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, can I just make a statement?
Ms. Pfeiffer,
So I will take responsibility for that. That, I would say, was another attempt at another housekeeping, as some of you are well informed already, as far as the other two were issues that were brought up by the Board of Elections. And I know Mr. Wallenczak in the past has made comments about wanting to have some kind of process for if there's vacancy. Now, I didn't have a conversation with Mr. Wallenczak, but since we were at such a time crunch for the other two to get onto the ballot, that was my creativity that obviously is being rejected. But I don't think it was meant in any way to be the same thing that we've got. It's just that currently the charter, the way it's written, doesn't have a process at all. And the thinking behind it, and I know Mr. Walters and I talked about it, was that having a put through a resolution first forces it to be an issue that everybody is then aware of. And the other parts of it were just, and I took this, I'll be honest, from some Minnesota law, was to then give ideas of whether you wanted to do it through posting it in the paper or if you wanted to do it internally. But either way, the goal was just to have a process so no one can be pushed through, so we wouldn't run into the same issues that we currently have. So that was all it was. It was my attempt to not have another Open Meetings Act violation, not have another situation that we've had currently that we all know about. But that's all there was. There was no motivation beyond that.
okay,
But
thank
we
you.
will spend time now and think about it going forward, because there's a couple issues within the charter that we will, but obviously they won't be on this election.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer. Next up is Laura Davis.
Laura Davis, 5494 Bay Shore Road. I want to thank Mayor Solander and China for their explanation. I'm pretty much going to speak on the same thing, but a just different perspective. Tonight, I would also like to address the proposed charter amendment regarding the filling vacancies. As my husband stated, there are concerns. I have the same concerns as well. I understand the urgency to get these items on the ballot before the September 3rd deadline. But this Article 3-2 regarding vacancies needs more tweaking, in my opinion. As some recall, last December, there was an opening on council when Steve Solander was elected as mayor. The way that position was filled is still being disputed. There was no discussion or opportunity for others who were interested in being considered for that open seat. The current language does not fully address this scenario if it were to happen again. When I used to write union contract proposals, I would review what grievances were lost due to contract language and consider all loopholes when it came to contract negotiations. I would look at all angles. How could this be misinterpreted? How could management spin this to be in their favor? This is what needs to be done with the future of the charter changes. The wording should be specific so that there's no ambiguity. Therefore, I think there should be an application period and a deadline for those who are interested. They should submit in writing their qualifications and why they want to be on council. All council members and mayor should be included in review of all applicants. Each candidate should be allowed to speak in front of council and be heard. Although there should be a timeline for this process that should not have to be rushed through, as there is no urgency to fill the position. The charter states if a vacancy is not filled in 60 days, then the mayor shall fill it by appointment. So I'm asking that important charter changes such as this one and also the recall procedure be evaluated and the wording be reconsidered before rushing through the change just to beat the ballot deadline. There's time to take all scenarios into consideration and work on proper wording that it also aligns with state charter as well. My next topic is regarding a citizen who apparently has an agenda to harass my husband and I. As part of his campaign, he plagiarized my slogan, "We did not come this far to only come this far." I have heard that phrase. I heard the phrase that imitation is a form of flattery. I should be flattered that he likes it enough to use it as his own. However, the fact that he is not creative enough to come up with his own catchy phrase does not mean that he is using it in the right context. When I say we, I am not only referring to myself and the few people who get up here to speak every week. The UNO group started a year ago with 4 people. We now have over 400 members on our Facebook group, or club as he calls it. How many people are in your club? We now referring to the volunteers in our local communities, have been out obtaining signatures for the statewide petition. We, over 25 dedicated committee members, have collected over 2,000 signatures in less than a month. Of these, over 1,600 were valid and more than enough to get it on the ballot for a vote. These awesome volunteers stood out in the heat and rain and wildfire smoke, and even were harassed by past politicians to get these signatures to accomplish their goal. Where is your committee? What have you accomplished? So you can use my slogan if you think it's so great. However, as my husband stated, you have not earned it. We did not come this far to only come this far.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Davis. Next is Joe Pfeiffer.
Joseph Pfeiffer, 3164 Lantern Drive. Mayor, members of council, and administrative staff, what does it truly mean to represent a community? I imagine there are days when serving on council can be frustrating. You hear criticism. Sometimes it's fair, and sometimes it isn't. You deal with people who are angry, people who misunderstand you, and people who may have already decided what they think of you before you've ever had a chance to respond. That can't always be easy, but I also think that's where the importance of this office becomes clearest. Because you're not only elected to represent the people who agree with you, you are also entrusted with the people who do not. Sometimes public service asks you to represent people even when they make that responsibility difficult. And that's why I hope we are careful when disagreements become personal. When one resident says something unfair, does that frustration remain with that individual? Or does it begin to shape how we view everyone who happens to share that person's position? When criticism becomes personal, can we resist answering it personally? When residents organize around an issue you may disagree with, you can still recognize that they are participating in their government. And when you ultimately cast a vote, can the people who opposed you still leave this room believing that you heard them, considered them, and represented their best interests? Because representation does not always mean agreement. Sometimes it simply means being heard fairly. I also believe there is something especially important about where and how these conversations happen. Public debate is strongest when it happens in the open. When residents stand at this podium, they put their names behind their words. They're willing to be seen and they're willing to be heard. Their arguments can be challenged, answered, and judged by everyone in the room, and there's accountability in that. Certainly, residents have every right to ask privately and speak privately with their elected officials. But when private conversations are brought into official deliberation as evidence of what the community thinks, I believe higher standards must apply. Who are we hearing from? Are they residents of Oregon? Are we hearing several independent voices or one viewpoint repeated through different channels? And if someone wishes to shape the direction of this city, should there not also be some responsibility to stand behind the position they're asking their government to consider? I did not ask that to discourage anyone from speaking. Quite the opposite. I think more people should participate. But public decisions should be shaped as much as possible by public conversations, not whispers, not rumors, not anonymous claims that cannot be examined. That protects council. It also protects residents, and it protects trust in this process. The same principle applies when residents use the democratic process available to them. They may attend meetings and they may organize. They may gather signatures. They may challenge decisions. And where the law allows it, they may ask that an issue be placed before the voters themselves. Some may disagree with the arguments they make, and some may disagree with the conclusions they reach. But participation in that process should not become illegitimate simply because the result is inconvenient to one side or the other. Certainly, citizens owe their elected officials respect as well. But tonight, I'm speaking to you because public office asks something more. You choose to carry the responsibility of representing all of us, including when we're difficult, including when we're wrong, and including when we disagree with you. Whatever happens with the issues dividing this community today, they will eventually pass. Votes will be taken, decisions will be made. Some people will be pleased and others will be disappointed. And another issue will eventually come before this council that divides us in an entirely different way. But the people you represent will still be here. And that's why I hope no disagreement, no personality, no social media argument, and no single vote ever becomes larger than your responsibility to the community as a whole. You cannot agree with everyone, and you cannot make everyone happy, but you can listen, you can be fair. You can keep disagreements in perspective, and you can remember that when someone walks through those doors, whether they came to support you or to challenge you, they are still one of the people you are here to serve. I think that's one of the highest responsibilities of public office, and right now, I think our community needs it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeiffer. Next is Connie Trudell. Ms. Trudell.
Connie Trudell, 5046 Dove Road. I had contacted Senator Paula Hicks Hudson's office last month per the recommendation of Representative Marcy Kaptur's office, seeking assistance with obtaining answers to the concerned citizen questions which were submitted to First Energy on March 30th, 2026, and Mr. Will Turner of Capacity LLC on June 9th, 2026. I received a response from Senator Hicks Hudson's office last week, which I'm going to read to you verbatim. Hello, Ms. Trudell. I wanted to update you on the list of questions and answers that you have requested from First Energy. Apparently, they have just finished their 18-month load study for the project and should be getting back to you soon with answers. As of right now, we weren't given a clear timeline of when that would be, but you are always welcome to reach back out to us if they do not reply. We will ask for an update in a week or so as well. I posed a couple additional questions to Senator Hicks Hudson's office after I received the response last week, but I have not received an answer to those questions yet. Please note that the response from Senator Hicks Hudson's office mentions that First Energy just completed an 18-month load study for this project. I am seeking clarification on this point, as I was present at the City Council meeting on February 2nd, 2026, when Mr. Will Turner was present, and he stated that the First Energy load study was completed in December 2025. I recall the members of City Council and City Administration who were present at this meeting in February 2026 being quite surprised to hear that the load study had been finished, as they were not properly notified. I have a few questions in regard to this 18-month load study, and I would like someone to the best of their ability to try to answer them tonight. And then what I'd like to do is email these to someone who will submit them to First Energy and Will Turner for written responses. So here are the questions. Number one, is this 18-month load study a continuation of the previous load study we were told was complete in December 2025? Or is this an additional load study? Number two, what are the reasons behind this 18-month load study being done? Excuse me, I'm talking now, you'll get your chance. That's rude. Number three, what are the results of the 18-month load study and the implications for the data center project in our community? And number four, were all members of City Council and City Administration aware of this 18-month load study? If not, why?
Mr. President?
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Trudell, I'll answer.
Okay.
This is news to me. So right off the bat, I don't know. An 18-month continuation of it, no clue. This is the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone else has, but this is the first I've heard of that. So I mean, that pretty much kills all the other questions, because this is the first I've heard of an 18-month, the load study. The last I knew also was in February. I have not been told anything beyond what we were told in February.
Okay. And then who should I send these questions to, who will then submit them to First Energy and Mr. Will Turner for written responses?
Any one of us, I guess, or all of us,
Mr.
whichever you
Walters?
prefer. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send them to Mr. Walters.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Trudell. Next is Amy Mottmiller. Mrs. Mottmiller.
Amy Montmiller, 5040 Corduroy Road. I'll cut out my part about the charter. Thanks for answering that. Good evening, members of council and mayor. Tonight I want to speak about infrastructure, public trust, and the cost of some residents have experienced simply for speaking up about the proposed data center. Recent extended power outages in Indiana showed how vulnerable communities can become when major infrastructure is disrupted. I want to be very clear. I am not saying data centers caused the outage. They did not. My point is simple. Infrastructure is tested when something goes wrong. When severe weather hits, equipment fails, or demands become unusually high, what happens? Before Oregon adds an enormous industrial electrical user, residents deserve clear answers. What happens to residential customers during an emergency? What protections are guaranteed? What happens during peak demand? And what happens when the system is already under stress? Those aren't anti-business questions. Those are responsible planning questions. We have asked questions about power, water, generation, noise, low frequency, sound, wildlife construction, emergency planning, and long-term livability of neighborhoods surrounding this project. Asking those questions should not make anyone an enemy of the city. It should make us engaged citizens. Last week, I had a conversation with a member of this council about why more people are not coming here to speak publicly about the data center. The council member said very clearly, the real problem is bullying and it needs to stop. I agree. And we need to acknowledge what that can look like. We have had two current and former elected officials storm into this building during or after a public meeting and aggressively confront citizens because they disagree with what they have said. This is a real concern. Citizens should be able to attend a council meeting, speak publicly, walk into the parking lot, and go home without wondering whether someone is going to confront them because of their opinion. It does not matter whether you are a former elected official or a currently elected official, an activist, or simply an Oregon resident. Disagree without intimidation, because other residents are watching, and when they see someone confronted after speaking, some will decide, I'm not coming here, I'm not speaking, I do not want that to happen to me. That is how public participation can be silenced without anyone ever officially taking away a person's right to speak. And if anyone believes speaking against this project has been easy, I can tell you that it has not been. There have been threats, there have been public intimidation, there has been attacks involving jobs and personal lives. There have been situations where people have felt confronted or surrounded simply because of the position they have taken. And there has been health and other personal concerns that have occurred because of the stress surrounding all of this. So no, it's not always easy to stand here and speak up for your family, your neighbors, your livability of your community, public health, wildlife, or the future of your community. Sometimes there is a very real cost, but I continue to come here because Oregon is my home. My family lives here, my neighbors live here, and the decisions made in this room could affect Oregon for decades. Nobody should be bullied for supporting this project, and nobody should be bullied for opposing it. And nobody should feel afraid to participate in their own local government. So tonight, I'm asking council for something simple. Give people information, give people answers, and protect the right to participate without intimidation. If this project or any project is good for Oregon, then the difficult infrastructure questions should be easy to explain. Please explain to us safeguards and explain what happens during emergencies. Explain how resident reliability, water, noise, wildlife, and neighborhood livability will be protected, not only when everything is working perfectly, but when something goes wrong. And if we truly believe citizens should participate in government, then make sure that they can walk through those doors, speak their minds, walk back without fear of being confronted, intimidated, or personally targeted. We do not have to all agree. In fact, healthy communities will disagree, but disagreement should never become intimidation, because Oregon belongs to all of us. Every resident should be able to stand at this microphone and say, I have a question, I have a concern, and my voice matters too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mottmiller. Next is Mr. Donald Petroff. Mr. Petroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I wanted to speak to you on some issues of economic development. But I'm going to save those for the committee of a whole because we'll need a little more time. But I did want to make one comment on the issue of this charter amendment going on. We are a municipality organized under the statutes of the state of Ohio in 1957. We're a charter city organized under the statutes of the state of Ohio. The charter was never designed, or should it ever be designed, to contain political decisions or business decisions. That's a political thing for you folks to decide. I don't care if people are for or against the mega center. This is not the way it's done. In places in New England, small towns, when they have an issue, the people all show up and they vote by a raise of hand. That's not who we are. Decisions are made here with you people. Everyone has a right to speak their piece, state their views, and move on. So I think you as councilmen have an obligation to talk about this with your constituents when they ask you. It's not a matter of the data center. It's a matter of, are we going to do this next? What if somebody comes in and wants to build a robot center? And we're going to say, no, you can only have so much space to build 25 robots. Or Amazon, you can only have so many trucks in our city at any one time. This is foolishness. Political decisions belong here and not this kind of stuff for people who don't trust council or don't understand how decisions are made. That's the point I wanted to make. I hope you make that point to people also. I wanted to thank the people from the German American Festival. Each year I get a personal invitation, and each year they say they have one of those leather pants for me. And each year I tell them, I think I'll pass on the pants, but I'll show up anyway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Petrov. Next is Mr. Jonathan Perry. Mr. Perry.
My name is Jonathan Perry, and I live at 4104 Lynn Drive. I officially do not represent the Isaiah 117 house here in Oregon in any way, but I believe in who they are as a group and what they're doing for our children. I just wanted to take time to thank you all, the leadership of Oregon, and the community as a whole for jumping on board and making them feel welcome in our city. For those that do not know, the purpose of Isaiah 117 House is to provide a safe and comforting home-like environment for children on the day they are removed from their homes because of various circumstances. Last Sunday, my son and I were honored to be a part of the official ribbon cutting. It was a beautiful occasion. Thank you, Mayor, for being there, and many others who attended. And I just have to share a story, but I won't be sharing anything that I shouldn't be sharing. But I think you should know the impact that our community is having with the decisions that you guys are making toward things like the Isaiah 117 house. 4:30 this morning, a family of 5 children under the age of 6 are brought to the Isaiah 117 house. They're given a bath. They're given brand new pajamas, given an entire duffel bag full of clothes. They all have a warm meal. In the middle of the night, they wanted pizza. Pizza was brought in. They wanted to watch their favorite movie. The team pulled out their favorite movie, and they all got to sleep in a comfortable bed. Now, we don't know what their future holds, but what we do know is that for a few days, their chaotic life that's just been put into upheaval, they have a reprieve from that painful situation. And I just am so proud to say I'm a part of Oregon and that this is a part of Oregon. Interestingly enough, when Isaiah 117 house needed a location, they had to be within a certain mile radius of child services, and those mile radiuses put them in the south end, the west end, the North End, and the East Side, and Oregon. And then someone in Oregon, the community there donated the land, and a bunch of amazing men and women came together and built that free of charge. And if you've never been there, I encourage you to go. It's beautiful, and you can reach out. I can get you set up for a private interview or a private tour when nobody's there. But I just want to thank you again. That's all I have to say. God bless you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Next is Mr. Mike Safarian. Mr. Safarian.
Before you start the clock, could I have Bob Dito come up too? We're talking on the same subject and share our time, because I can explain what happened last week and with Bob's help. And so you guys could all understand, and a resident came in here with questions about the PR communication building. So if I were to be very thorough, it would take me more than 5 minutes to explain it. And I would like that latitude, if you would so choose to grant that to me.
Is Mr. Dito plan on talking?
He may have some comments to make to verify the events.
Okay.
And
Each person is, this has come up. However, I have read it. You can't yield, I know you can't yield time to individuals. So if Mr. Dito, say you do your 5 minutes, and if Mr. Dito wants to come in and chime in.
I'll try to get it done.
Okay.
I'll try to get it
All
done.
right, thank you.
Mike Safarian, 5110 Eagles Landing. It was said last week that I lived at 5112 Eagles Point. I don't know where that came from, but it is 5110 Eagles Landing. And the comments were that PR Communications is a business that is in Windscape. And what the person said was, at a time, I believe 2010, LLC called Molly's Venture purchased that, and there was some kind of conflict of interest. Well, actually, Bob Dito is Molly's Ventures. And why it came up 5110 Eagles Landing is Bob Dito lived at 5110 Eagles Landing in 2003 when he created that LLC, and he built the building that PR Communication exists in. He was the first business that moved there. He bought the lot from the city. It was a subdivision, a CI district that wasn't very successful. There was, for years, there was no one had built in there, and he was the first, so he took a risk and took over the city's payment of that. I could go into all kind of detail, but another time.
Mm-hmm.
But so from 2003 till 2010, when this person said Molly's Ventures purchased that, that's when Molly's Ventures sold that building to PR Communications. And PR Communications still owns it today. And that, Mr. Dito looked that up on Aries, and it very clearly stated that. And they said that there was real trouble trying to find out what actually happened there. But it is very clear that he owned it from 2003 to 2010, sold it. At no time in any way, shape, or form did I ever own one penny of that place. Bob Dito and I grew up together. We've been very good friends from the time we were little to the current time. And the irony is then he moved out of that house. First, he was in a long battle with First Energy. First Energy took over ownership of that house in 2006, and I purchased that house from First Energy in May 5th of 2007. And I currently still live there, and so I don't know what the confusion was. It seemed to be very clear to us. I came here last week, and I'm the longest term tenured elected official in this city. I'm 34 years. I do not watch these meetings that I come to. I came one other time to clarify when you folks thought that the data center extension failed, just to merely inform you that it actually passed. Other than that, I'm in my backyard doing yard work when I get 3 calls saying, boy, you just got thrown under the bus. It appears that somebody thinks you're guilty of some conspiring to make money on this deal. So never owned 1 cent worth of that building. Bob Dito does not own any part of it. PR Communications, sole owner of it. It's very clear on the internet. I don't know how that mistake happened. And Connie, I'm partially deaf, and my wife yells at me all the time when I talk. I don't hear well. I'm very sorry. I did not mean to intrude on your conversation. I don't like it when somebody does it to me. But I had a lot more to say. I can't get it done in the time, but I'm done. I don't need to come back here. I wish you guys all well. I live in this city. I plan to die in the city. All 3 of my children live within 3 miles of my house. They probably will live their whole lives here. I want the city to succeed. I don't come in here and critique any of you. I sit at home in my backyard. I'm not watching this. So I don't come to these meetings to harass anybody. I did not harass Omar Smeedy when he was getting signatures. I known Omar since he was a little kid. He told me he was for the data center. I merely went up and asked him. You can ask him. I asked him, Omar, I thought you weren't. He said, I told you I was for it because I thought you'd be mad at me if I wasn't.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sphirian. Next is Bob, you want to speak, Mr. Dito?
Robert Dito, 520 Bridgewater Drive. Does anybody have any questions for me on that property? Nothing? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dito. Next is Mr. PJ Caphammer. Mr. Caphammer.
PJ Caphammer, 3646 Navarre. That gentleman in the black shirt, Mr. Was it Pfeiffer? He did a great job. And it's basically why I signed in. It does feel like it's toxic. It feels like it's toxic on Facebook and the community. There's people drawing lines down his. If you're for it or against it, you're being attacked. And that's the problem. That is the whole problem with the room. You can have a conversation. I like Amy. I like people. I like to agree to disagree. I like to have a conversation. It feels like we've lost that now, and hopefully we can get back to it. It is your duty. You are elected officials, and it is your duty to make decisions for us. That's how this city works. I respect that, but it is bullying from both sides, major disagreements, and it feels like nobody can get along, and I can even feel it up in this part of it. So let's get back to working together and agreeing to disagree and doing what's best for the city, even if we don't agree with each other. So, but he hit it on the nail. It is your job, and Judge said the same thing. It's your job, and that's our charter. And that's how we need to govern. And if we have a problem with the charter, we can take it to the voters, and the voters can make that decision. But until then, it's your job. Just keep doing your job and get along. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caphammer. At this time, that concludes the persons and delegates. How about if we take about a 5-minute break? Would that be all right? Then we'll come back. So we'll be back here at 5 till. Thank you.
How you doing? Good.
Okay. Now on to the agenda. We need to add item, let me get my eyes. We need to add items number 121 and 122 to tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
before I make the motion, I do have a quick question. Typically on our agendas, when we have items that are being walked on for consideration that weren't in the committee of the whole, usually there is a heading at the top that says something to the effect of items for consideration and passage. Is that just an oversight? Thank you. I didn't mean to call you out. I just making sure we didn't change anything. I would move to add items 121 and 122 to this evening's agenda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Horniak, second by Mrs. Pauloff. Council, any objections? Hearing none, items 121 and 122 will be added to tonight's agenda. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, on the agenda for passage is item 115 of 2026, being presented by Mr. Paul Roman. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance was presented last week, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on it.
Okay. Council, any additional questions on item 115 of 2026? Hearing none, I will assign item 115 of 2026. Ask Ms. Snyder to please read it into the record.
Authorizing the mayor to submit applications to the Ohio Public Works Commission for financial assistance from the State Capital Improvements Fund and the Local Transportation Improvement Program Fund, and to execute contracts for approved funding from said funds, programs, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Andrus.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 115 of 2026 for approval and declare an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrus. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mrs. Pauloff. Second. It was close. Thank you, Mrs. Pauloff. All right. Motion made by Mr. Andrus, second by Mrs. Pauloff. Council, any objections? Okay, Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call?
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ordinance 115 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Next on the agenda is item 116 of 2026 being presented by Mr. Roman, Mr. Paul Roman.
Thank you. Again, Mr. President, this was presented last week, but I'd be happy to answer any questions on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, any additional questions on item 116 of 2026? Hearing none, I will assign item 116 of 2026 as ordinance 116 of 2026 and ask Ms. Stater to please read it into the record.
Authorizing the mayor, finance director, and director of public service to issue a purchase order to United Roofing and Sheet Metal Incorporated, 7255 Progress Street, P.O. Box 107, Holland, Ohio, to furnish labor, materials, and equipment for Oregon wastewater roof replacements and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we accept item 116, 2026 as read.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Is there a second?
Support.
As an emergency.
As an emergency. Thank you, Mr. Horniak.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, and seconded by Mr. Andrus. Motion made by Mr. Gibbs, seconded by Mr. Andrus. Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of council?
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Andrus,
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman,
Yay.
Mr. Drake,
Yay.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 116 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Next on the agenda is item 117 of 2026 being presented by Mr. Paul Roman. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance was also discussed last week regarding stop signs along the East Hampton Drive intersections with, as they are listed in section 1, but be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, any additional questions on item 117 of 2026? Hearing none, I will assign item 117 of 2026 as ordinance 117 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to please read it into the record.
an ordinance amending Schedule 7 of Part 3 of the Traffic Code of the Codified Ordinances of Oregon, Ohio to provide a stop sign for various streets in the city of Oregon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Andrus.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 117 of 2026 as submitted and declare an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrus. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Pauloff. Okay, motion made by Mr. Andrus, seconded by Mrs. Pauloff. Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of council?
Mr. Andrus,
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff,
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman,
Yay.
Mr. Drake,
Yay.
Mr. Gibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 117 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Next is item 118 of 2026 being presented by Chief Began. Mr. Began.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did present the details last week at the Committee of the Whole. I just want to reiterate, this is a voluntary participation in the OVI task force, and any overtime that is created with this would be fully reimbursed to the city. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Began. Council, any additional questions on item 118 of 2026? Hearing none, I will assign item 118 of 2026 as ordinance 118 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to please read it into the record.
authorizing the mayor, finance director, and chief of police to enter into a memorandum of understanding and a contract between the Lucas County Sheriff's Office and the Oregon Police Division to participate in a countywide OVI task force to provide targeted enforcement activity.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Pauloff.
I move for passage of ordinance 118, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Pauloff. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made by Mrs. Pauloff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of council?
Mrs. Pauloff,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman,
Yay.
Mr. Andrus,
Yes.
Mr. Drake,
Yay.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 118 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Next is item 119 of 2026, being presented by Mr. my bad. Chief Began, I'm sorry. Mr. Began.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also presented the details of this ordinance last week. We did ask for it as an emergency just due to the timeline for the invoice in which we'd be paying with the approval of this. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Began. Council, any additional questions on item 119 of 2026? Hearing none, I will assign item 119 of 2026 as ordinance 119 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to please read it into the record.
an ordinance to authorize the execution of then and now certificates by the finance director and the payment of amounts due for various purchase orders and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Pauloff.
I move for passage ordinance 119, 2026 as an emergency measure.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Pauloff. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Motion made by Mrs. Pauloff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of council?
Mrs. Pauloff,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman,
Yay.
Mr. Andrus,
Yes.
Mr. Drake,
Yay.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 119 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Next is item number 121. And I believe China. Okay, Ms. Pfeiffer. Ms. Pfeiffer.
Yes, so this is the proposed amendment to the charter, addressing the number 2, which is, I just had it out, the nonpartisan primary issue. So that's Article 8, Section 2. And what it states on there, candidates for mayor and council to be voted for any regular municipal election under the provisions of this charter shall be nominated in a nonpartisan primary election to be held in odd-numbered years on the same date as may be provided in the general laws of the state for holding primary elections. Included in the packet is an email from the Board of Elections that was part of their request to streamline that with the rest of the state. One, obviously, it's confusing for constituents to keep track of a separate date. But the other thing is really the only other jurisdiction that had a separate primary date was Maumee, and Maumee is also changing this. So then Oregon would be the only jurisdiction with that primary date, and then would be responsible for the entire cost. So streamlining things, but also saving costs for the city. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Pfeiffer. Council, any additional questions on item 121 of 2026? I'm sorry.
Mr. President,
Mr. Gibbs.
I'd like to ask Nick to add to this.
Yeah, Mr. President, Mr. Gibbs. Yeah, so just a little bit added context for what those costs could be. Back in 2023, we had to hold the primary, and Maumee did have several items on the ballot, so we were the only two sharing that date for the elections, and that cost us almost $24,000 for just that one election, and that was with sharing the cost with Maumee. So if we don't make this change and get on the same date as everybody else within the state, that amount would more than likely be doubled whenever we would go to do our next primary. So costing over $40,000 to hold those primaries. So from not just to get on board with what the Board of Elections want, it will also save us quite a bit of money by making this change. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibbs, and thank you, Mr. Nick Roman. Ms. Pfeiffer?
Yeah, Mr. President, Paul Roman just pointed out to me too, the first draft did not have the additional original language in it, that if there are more than double the number of candidates to be elected to the office of mayor or to the member of council, there shall not be a primary election if there are fewer candidates than set forth. So that's still keeping it the way it was before. Like I said, it's really only changing the date. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other additional questions on item 121 of 2026?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Ackerman.
I want to thank Ms. Pfeiffer and everyone else that worked on that because this is long overdue. I know Mr. Horniak's brought it up, I've brought it up, and having worked for the Board of Elections through several elections, this is over the years where the BOE said, will you guys get on board in Oregon already? So this is long overdue, and I think it's something everybody at this counter is happy about seeing done. So that's a relief, right? So thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer.
You're welcome. And I will just state that my understanding was when it was proposed in the past, it was combined with a bunch of other amendments. So that was the reason, all of the amendments that we worked on late on Friday, Brody, myself, and Josette, we made sure that they were all separate so you can see them individually.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ackerman and Mrs. Pfeiffer. Council, any additional questions on item 121 of 2026?
Yes, Mr. President?
Mr. Horniak.
If I may, just a couple of questions to this, and speaking a little bit to the previous time this was put forward, I believe the charter amendment that was proposed was to remove the primaries and just have a singular election in November. I think this makes a lot more sense to everybody, and I've had those conversations with the Board of Elections who said, would you please, because the September election, by the time they get that in, certify that, they have to prepare a ballot for November. There is literally no way for them to do that in the time, so it's in there. So the question I have is for this, and thank you for taking this on. That means now the primary, if there is twice plus one in either election area, that triggers the primary. That will be in the May primary, so the first Tuesday of May?
Yes, that'd be my understanding. It'd just be with the rest of the state of Ohio.
Okay, because I was gonna say, the state, I know, has it that way, but we're not calling that out specifically, but we would align with the state, which
Yes,
we
it-
believe to be May.
Yes, all of Lucas County is already aligned with the state, so we'll just be following suit, other than Maumee. And like I said, it's their goal to also be aligned with the state on those
Okay.
dates.
The second part of that or question with that is, for those who are going to be seeking election, say even next year, assuming this goes through, the folks adopt it as a charter amendment, if the primary is in May, do we have to address the filing deadlines?
Yes, I would assume all of it then would be affected by it.
Okay,
That we can look at that, yeah.
because that is called out specifically, so realistically, by normal counts, you have to file in June for a potential September primary, so I think it's 75 days before the election, and anybody who's, can remember this better. 75 days before the election, which would put that probably in February, that they would have to have petitions done, certified, and into the board at that time to meet.
Yes, and the plus will be now, since they'll be aligned with the rest of Lucas County, you could go to the Board of Elections website, and obviously it's gonna have all the days that we would be following, just the same with everybody else. So it'd make it easier to find. I think by being separate, it made it very complicated. You can just Google it and go to the Board of Elections or the Secretary of State and get that information. And now, since it will be aligned with the rest of the state, all of those deadlines would apply to us as well.
Yeah, I would just encourage us too, as next year we head into an election cycle, assuming this is adopted by the members of the city, that we do kind of communicate that out, because those that are going to seek interest to running next year may be still operating with an idea that you have till May or June to get it done, and in fact, they're going to have to get it done literally after the turn of the year.
Correct.
The upside is moving ahead just a little bit, talking to the other one. Thank goodness we're changing that form and giving them an actual updated form. For anybody who's done this or who hasn't done this, it is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and then you go home and you make your own copies. And there have been more people that have been disqualified from running because of just the ambiguity and the difficulty in fully understanding how to fill those forms out. So to have a fresh, simplified methodology to make sure that anybody who chooses to put their name on the ballot gets to, kudos. Outstanding work on that, because every time anybody who's filled that out, you get that form and you're like, what is this? So
That
it's
is the
great
goal.
that we'll have both pieces of that, so. And that's all I have, Mr. President, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak. Thank you, Mrs. Pfeiffer. Council, any other questions? I would just like to echo what Councilwoman Ackerman, Mr. Horniak. I do know the two times I got my petition at the Board of Elections. I know the first time they were hounding about getting it changed, and the last time I just ran, I think it was Tim Monaco, he kept pressing and pressing about getting it changed, and I think it's good. I believe the Maumee was another city, I don't know if that's true or false. So, yeah, I think it's good housekeeping. I'm sure the Board of Elections will like it. Mr. Horniak is right. Those forms were so nitpicky, and heck, I think I had 2 or 3 different attorneys read it just to make sure it was right. So I want to thank China also for that. Any other additional questions? Hearing none. I will assign item 121 of 2026 as ordinance 121 of 2026. Is there a motion? Ms. Snyder, would you please read it into the record?
Proposing and providing for the submission to the electorate, repealing and replacing Article 8, Section 2, as currently written of the municipal charter of the City of Oregon, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
I move for passage of ordinance 121 of 26 as an emergency measure.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion seconded by Mrs. Powell. Thank you, Mrs. Powell. Motion made by Mr. Horniak, seconded by Mrs. Powell. Mr. Mayor, would you please take roll call at council?
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 121 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Okay. Next and the last item is item 122 of 2026 being presented by China. I thought you said Jen. China. I'm hearing things.
All right. As we've already alluded to it a little bit, but this is Article 8, Section 3, which is the next section over, nominating procedure, which really is the procedure and the petition form that Mr. Horniak was speaking about. It's nominations for elective office of the municipality shall be made by petition filed with the election authorities 90 days prior to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. The name of any qualified elector of the city shall be placed upon the election ballot for nomination as a candidate for any elective office of the municipality when there shall have been filed with the election authorities signed by not less than 50 nor more than 100 electors of the city. I want to point out that that was already in Oregon's current charter. Other jurisdictions had different numbers for city council members and the mayor, but I elected just to keep it the same as it is, really focusing on what the changes, the petition, in a little less language. C is the nominating petition shall contain a statement of candidacy, which shall designate a committee to represent the candidate. Both the nominating petition and the statement of candidacy shall be substantially in the form prescribed by the state of Ohio for nominating petitions generally, and shall be signed, circulated, and filed in accordance with the provisions of the Ohio Revised Code. So that really is the biggest issue or change, I would say, is that prior to this, the petition is in the charter, and the Board of Elections issue one is that it has been copied and copied and copied, and no one knows where the actual original was. They also described the petition and the language as archaic and causing a lot of issues for the Board of Election. So what I did obviously is looked at all of the other municipalities in the area, and most of this language is from Toledo and the other areas. They're all similar, other than the numbers. So I did keep the numbers the same as what Oregon already had. So I just want to be completely transparent about that. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Also, as Mr. Horniak alluded to, instead of the form being what you'd pull out of the charter and make a copy of, now you'd go to the Secretary of State. The other plus to that is by just stating following the state of Ohio in the revised code, then if there's changes within the state, you don't have to change your charter. You're just always following whatever their change is. Any questions? Yes, Paul?
I'm sorry, but I keep looking at the 90 days prior to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. But if you're ever going to have a primary, obviously it'd be a lot sooner than that, correct?
But they don't know until.
Primary would be in May.
Yeah,
they
so,
don't-
Mr.
They
President.
don't know until you.
Mr. Nick Roman.
Yeah, in the prior wording, it did say 90 days prior to the date of holding the primary election, should it be held? Is that what that, in section A of this, is that how that should be worded rather than saying November?
This was the same as the ones the Board of Elections was okay with, and I would assume that that's what it would mean.
That seems logical, though, that it'd be 90 days prior, because I believe that today, what's in there is 90 days prior to the primary election.
Correct.
So I think we'd want to specify that as the filing deadline is that same 90 days prior to the May primary, because again, you can't do it 90 days ahead of time because you will have already missed the primary and you don't know how many candidates you would have. So I would think we would want to amend that to 90 days, or we could even consider maybe 75 days prior to the May primary, which would allow people into, late February,
The only thing I'd say is we're on a time crunch, obviously, just like the data center petition. That's why this all came up so quick, by the way.
Yeah.
Nothing was meant to, throw it upon everybody. It's just in conversations with the Board of Elections. I've never spoken to them as much as I have recently. That's how this came up. So, but if that's something you'd want to change, as long as everyone was comfortable with that, we could change that currently, and I could make sure that it's typed up to be passed and signed. I know Josette can sign it.
I would concur with that. I believe I think we make that as clear as possible. And
But I
again-
would say as long as you state it now exactly what you want it to be, we can vote on it and I can have it corrected.
Okay, so it's actually on the nomination form.
Yeah, the end of it.
Second
back.
second paragraph says one instrument at least 90 days prior to the date of holding the primary election.
And if you want that exact wording, I can just change that in there. Instead of saying 90 days prior to the first Tuesday after that, we can just put that old language in there, that it's the 90 days prior to the date of the holding of the primary election, and just cross out the rest after that, on that first A.
I'm fine with that. I don't know how other members feel.
That makes sense.
I think it clarifies it.
Yeah,
I think it's less wordy and easier to make sense of. So, like I said, it would be nominations for elective office of the municipality shall be made only by petition filed with the election authorities 90 days prior to the date of the holding of the primary election, period. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And everybody, then I would say if you'd want to vote on it as that, then that's what we would do.
It's simple.
I agree with you. It's simplified that way.
be too late otherwise, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Right.
Otherwise you literally put yourself into
Right,
failure.
right.
So.
And you want
I-
it as simple as
Is anybody
possible.
opposed to that change? That doesn't like the idea of that? Yeah.
Well, Mr. President, at least, Mr. President, yeah, at least the way that me and Brandon were just looking at it too, and the only way they would know if there's enough people who have filed the petitions if they, if you have it the 90 days before the primary election. If there's not enough, then I believe those nominations should just be forwarded to the general election.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, that's where we want to have the wording if held.
And if you do go look, if you look in the packet, the former language was in there, or it says current is what it was, and that is, you can see that paragraph right there. So if you want the exact language, it's right there, so. Correct.
Okay, you done, China?
Hopefully.
I just want to make sure. All right. Council, is there any additional questions on item 122 of 2026?
Mr. President,
Mr. Gibbs?
are we making changes to what's in front of us?
We're adding to the ordinance, but the supplementation is correct.
Oh,
Go ahead again, Mr. Gibbs,
say it one more time.
please.
Are we making changes to this?
Yes, just one sentence.
It's also in section 1.
Yeah, that's true too. If you want to do it in the ordinance or on that, I can do it. Mr. Gibbs, it's just on after the word prior to the, instead of saying first Tuesday, that's where it changed. It'd be the date of holding the primary elections. That's it.
Okay, I understand that, but can we proceed if we're making changes?
As long as it's agreed upon.
As long as we all agree on it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
It's also section 4.
Yeah. Can I have your clean copy? So I can write it on there then. Oh, you want me to use this one? Oh, you already wrote it. Got it. Okay.
No, if I may, Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
Mr. Romans asked, do we need to present the ordinance and then amend it? And I believe Ms. Pfeiffer is 100% correct. I believe if the changes are agreed to by council, so you may ask, are there any objections to the changes? If there's no objections, then I think it can move forward as presented. And the motion for passage would just need to include as amended during as discussed during the meeting. So I don't think we would have to go through the formal amendment process unless there was objection to it. I think you could do it that way.
Okay. Okay, is there any more questions on it? I got some, but I wouldn't know how to ask them. Ms. Snyder, would you please read it into the record?
Proposing and providing for the submission to the electorate, repealing and replacing Article 8, Section 3 as currently written of the municipal charter of the City of Oregon and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Council, is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
I move for passage of ordinance 122 of 2026 as an emergency measure with the changes as discussed and agreed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Mrs. Pawlov. Motion made by Mr. Horniak, seconded by Mrs. Pawlov. Ms. Snyder, would you please take roll call of council?
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ordinance 122 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Now on to the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple quick things, truly quick. First of all, thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer, for your work in those two amendments. It's been a long time coming that those two have all needed changed. And I'll echo Mr. Horniak as well, that those petitions were a pain. So hopefully this will make things, should these pass. So I encourage you to vote for these. Should they pass, will make it should make it easier for people who have not ran for office before here in Oregon to be able to do so, which is always better to make things a little more simple. Outside of that, I hope to see you at the German American Fest to join myself and 40,000 members of your closest friends and have a good time. So everybody be safe. Don't drink and drive. There are options to be able to, even if you're living in Oregon, there are options to be able to get home safely. I can also let you know that Cedar Creek Church right next door will be running pickups and drop-offs for Uber and Lyft. So just please be safe. We want to see you all here next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next is Mr. Walters. Mr. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to provide a quick update on the flock camera situation that's made the news recently. Wanted to acknowledge 2 instances of vandalism that we had on flock cameras in the vicinity of Star and 280. We are in the process of working through the replacement of those pieces of hardware. We are making provisions so that we're not simply reinstalling them in the exact same situation and conditions that they were in. We've reached an agreement with ODOT to place them up on one of the interstate signs. It's a larger metal pole that will hopefully prevent future vandalism. And so that's the one on the north side of Star. On the one on the south side of Star, we're looking to locate that further to the east to get that in a more visible location closer to the interstate or closer to the intersection of Earlwood and Star. So the act of vandalism was unfortunate. As I explained in the media interview, there are ways to disagree with public policy. Vandalism and destruction of property is not one of them. So we're working through trying to get those reinstalled to put that resource back in the hands of the police department. And if there are larger discussions about flock cameras, contracts, and the philosophy of that, we're certainly willing to have those in the future. But for now, we're looking to simply replace and repair the equipment that was vandalized. And when I say vandalized, I'm talking poles cut, wires cut, lenses spray painted, basically everything that you could do to vandalize the equipment and hardware was done. So we're looking to have that not be the case in the future. So I just wanted you to know that if those go back up, we're not simply putting them back up in the exact same condition and location that they were. We're trying to reduce the likelihood of that happening again. So I just know it made the news, so I want everybody to be informed on that. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walters. Ms. Pfeiffer.
Mr. President, I just wanted to say I want to thank Brody and Josette for staying with me Friday until like 7 p.m. working on those amendments. And that there are a number of things in the charter that do need to be updated. And that's something we'll work on, but we just need more time to do it, not being rushed into it. And I'm welcome to any suggestions as far as, how you feel about like the vacancies and things like that. More ideas are better. So if anybody wants to email those things to me, I'm happy to look at it. So, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer. Mr. P. Roman.
No report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Horniak.
Nothing for my standing committee, but maybe just to further the dialogue in this. I know Mr. Walczak had brought up a couple of times about having that discussion. So I guess, Ms. Pfeiffer, my question would be to you is, in order to set a process and protocol, which I believe we all want to see in place, can we not do that as a SOP or a policy and procedure, or even as an ordinance by council, as opposed to a charter amendment? That way, given 2 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, if a future council has to change that for whatever the world looks like at those times, we haven't kind of handcuffed them with a charter amendment, but rather an ordinance or an SOP where we can talk through, you know, is there an advertisement, is there an application, if you will, a statement of interest? If you forced ranking of everybody picks their top, pick a number 5, and then you take the top 1/3 of all applicants, those are brought forward and considered. Can that be done through ordinance or through procedure? Probably easier and less restrictive in the future to future councils to be able to do that. Does that
Yeah, I
sound
mean, it
logical?
could, long as it doesn't conflict with what's already in the charter. You can never have an ordinance conflict with the charter. The one that is in there right now is pretty vague, so I don't see that being an issue. Now, there are other areas of the charter that there are issues with, and one would be meetings. So even having you guys all discuss it without having an open meetings violation is always difficult. So that process is complicated by that. So that's one of the other issues. But I don't disagree with you. Doing it through an ordinance, as long as it doesn't conflict with the charter. The charter is, you know, the Constitution, so it's got to, of the city essentially, so it's got to fall in line with that. But the one that's currently in the books is very vague, so I think it would not be an issue.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak. Thank you, Mrs. Pfeiffer. Mrs. Pawlov.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is the 5th anniversary of the groundbreaking of the Fire Station 41. And we saw a need, and we all worked together and got it done within about a year, year and a half. And today I was talking to Chief Began, but he was busy looking at leaks in his ceiling. So I can't stress enough that we really need to help out our police department with their house too. And I really think that we could do it because we did it for the fire department. We sure can do it for the police department. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Pawlov.
Mr. President,
Mr. Began.
I just wanted to add, that was at my personal residence. On the new, on the.
You did not tell me it was at your person.
On the new roof.
But you know what?
That was replaced 2 years ago.
So what you're telling me is you don't need a new place in the police department?
I believe we do need a new police department, but that was at my personal residence on a roof that was installed a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, no, thank
I
you
just
for
wanted
that
to-
clarification, but if you don't want a new police station, that's totally, I mean,
Ms. Paul, if I could use an office with a window, if you want to do that, but.
oh, okay. No, I've been down there enough times to say whether there's a leak in the roof or not, whether there is upgrades that need to be, you see, you didn't clarify the leak to your house. Thank you for leaving that little bit out. That's really sweet of you, during office hours too. But no, needless to say, I really do think that we need to really spend time upgrading the police station because it's so long overdue, and I know we don't have the money, but even if it's paint, even if it's something, I just want to let you know that we are thinking about it. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mrs. Ackerman. I'm sorry.
Mr. President?
Yep.
As far as my committee, public utility, I have a question. I wanted to ask Mr. Paul Roman, were you aware of the 18-month load study? Had you ever heard of it?
When you talk to us, Ms. Hicks Hudson, as to what wording she used, and as I think the best bet is to send the questions to Will, but I think there's only one load study.
But you were not aware
Done
of
that I'm not aware of two or anything like that.
Okay, just.
Yeah.
wasn't- just
Yeah, I
curious
think the
about
best
that.
bet is just give the questions to them and have them answer it.
Yeah, thank you. And I wanted, for my environmental part of my committee, the fall migration is underway, so please keep your lights out if possible. And, you know, some people are putting out jelly for Orioles and such that are migrating, some energy foods. But just be aware and try to keep your outdoor cats indoors for a bit, please. Try to get the fatalities down as they move south. It is people don't realize that there's a big fall migration. Outside my committee, the Isaiah House is one of those things that I am so glad that all of us up here agree about. We all love that it's here. We all love that we have the service in our city for these kids. And it's just nice. I almost cried when because it really is, if you get a chance to tour that facility, all of the love that's in there in the way of all of the clothing and toys and books and furniture, every single thing in that facility is, I dare you not to cry if you go see it, because it's an overwhelming show of compassion from our city. And like I said, it's great because everybody up here is on board with it, and we can all agree about that. Isn't that nice? I did want to say, I'm hoping that as far as that petition, the one that you take out to run for office, if we could put together like a how to run for office in Oregon 101 kind of pamphlet, so people know, because we didn't have a lot of turnover for a long time, but we're seeing turnover, and I predict that we're gonna see a lot more turnover, and it's exciting that, you know, we will get that for our city. And, but I think when you aren't in for a long time, you know, the people, like that young man that spoke tonight back there, the first thing, you come up and you have really, you know, you say something wonderful like that. And my first thing I said to him was, are you going to run for council? But it would be great if we had like a little pamphlet or something on our website saying, this is how you do it, because I have heard of people that went and got the Oregon ones, filled them out just to find out, no, you have to have the state one, but there was no one to tell them that. If you didn't know someone who had run multiple times, you were kind of, you know, taking a shot in the dark on it. But I think, and I'll concur with Mayor Salander, that bring a guest and come to the fest, because it does bring a lot of revenue into our city, and it is something that our city is known for, and it is the 60th GAF. And get a driver, come out, have a good time, but be responsible, and there's plenty of ways to come and have a good time and not be a hazard to anyone on the road. We all want everybody to get home safely. And I would encourage everyone on council to attend Friday night, the opening ceremonies. And that would be great if we were represented there. There's a parade, and then I think 8 o'clock is the opening ceremonies. And I don't know about everybody else, but I look forward to seeing Mayor Salander get to tap the keg, which is tradition for the mayor for our city. So that's all. So yeah, and come dressed. Yeah, and so that's it. Just everybody, you know, like Guten Abend. So that's it. Thank you.
Lederhosen or whatever it is.
Later.
No.
I thought you said that too.
Jeez. No. Leaners.
I said that's all.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Akron.
Das ist alles.
Okay, next is Mr. Andrus.
Mr. President, no report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrus. Mr. Gibbs.
Mr. President, I have Nothing to report from my committee. However, there is a letter here. It says, "Dear council members, administration, and streets department, thank you for voting yes and the installation of our new stop signs, yield signs. We really appreciate the help with this safety issue. The timely manner was an added bonus. Thank you all. Kristen Beckman, Janet Free, Lynn Gibbs, Sarah Hummel, and all the concerned citizens of the East Hampton neighborhood." And I would like to add to that, I would like to thank Mr. Walters for sharing a video presentation by Rachel Hart, City of Toledo Chief of Communications, made during the Lake Erie West Summer General Assembly 2026. She shared a lot of good information on how to better communicate effectively. And if you want to see that, go to the Lake Erie West Regional Council and you can view that. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Huber, who was here last week, for sharing with us last week of the possibility of a Black Swamp Resort and encouraging us to think out of the box on development in our city. And one more idea that is floating around out there is the possibility of a new sport coming to Oregon. Nick, you might smile at this. Have you ever heard of pumpkin chunking? Yes, indeed. Can you imagine the smiles on children's faces when they bring their leftover pumpkins from Halloween to be chunked out into a field by a huge slingshot or a catapult? Or how about moms and dads and grandparents working together to build a machine to chunk pumpkins? How about a tough man contest to see who can toss a pumpkin the farthest? Now, I know, Mr. Bagan, on your force, you have a giant on your force, okay? And I'll bet he could throw one quite a ways. Can you picture our skilled trades people working with our schools to build pumpkin chunkers? Can you imagine a pumpkin cannon out at South Shore Park shooting at a target out in the water? It all starts with ideas and grows from there. This isn't a new idea. People all over the country have been doing this for years. It can be new to Oregon. Now, this will be the topic for a feasibility study for additional revenue and bring smiles as well. Libby's main active canning factory is located in Morton, Illinois, which processes about 85% of the world's canned pumpkin. Why not here in Oregon with local investment? We have a neighbor in Northwood that processes canned tomatoes. So we could do this in Oregon. And Mr. President, I'd just like to say that would be a good thing maybe, plus the resort.
Be nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. I have nothing from my committee. However, I need to do this part, a public hearing to be scheduled from the clerk of council. We need to schedule the following public hearing for 7 PM in council chambers on Monday, September 28th, 2026. The special use in a C2 General Commercial Zone District for the purpose of providing outpatient counseling. The location is 445 Earlwood Avenue, Suite 218. The applicants are Edward Kuchar and David Williams for owner Seiko Properties. All right. Nothing from my committee. I just wanted to bring up a few things. I'll be real quick. I've had more phone calls about skunks in the last 6 days than anything. And
They got us last Thursday.
I even called Anita Lopez because somebody had told me that the county takes care of them. I called her Saturday night. I probably shouldn't have. But she said the only thing they pick up is dogs that are running wild. So I've dealt with, I think, 3 of them today. And I just, tell them, they got different agencies that I guess will come out and do it. But that's kind of been the highlight of the last week. Other than that, a good job to the guy back there. I forget your name again, Mr. Joseph. Sorry for calling you Joe. Yeah, you did a good job. Hopefully that will help set a tone like it had been months and months and months ago, that in the end, it's not the end of the world. We can all, like you said, we can agree to disagree, and there's a lot more things to worry about than needling people to death. So I want to thank you for that. Other than that,
Mr. President?
also, hang on, I'm sorry.
Entschuldigung. Excuse me.
There, just an FYI, I know there's a lot of diehards sitting out here. There will be no council meeting next Monday because it's the 5th Monday. So I don't want to drive by and see Jim Davis trying to get in the building. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President?
So moved, Mr.
Mr. President? I had already asked. I had
Yep,
already-
Mrs. Ackerman.
Excuse me. I just wanted to mention, if you have a really big guy on the police force, he could represent the city in the Steinstrassen. If you could practice for throwing pumpkins, but it is going to be on BCSN this year. So, I mean, that's a big step up, big deal, right? But anyway, if you got a big guy, he could wear a OPD shirt and rep us at the GAF. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ackerman.
Mr.
Mrs.
President,
Powell.
second. You have a
Mrs.
motion
Powell.
by Ms.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Powell, second by Mr. Horniak. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks for coming.